Welcome back, everybody. Today is May 17th, fifth month. I don't believe half the year is almost up, and we are just now starting to get nice riding weather. I think I'm going to absolutely lose my mind if we have an early fall, just because this is the first day. We might have had two days so far that the weather's actually hit 80 degrees. So definitely out enjoying an awesome ride. Yesterday I was also able to ride, so it's 2 days in a row. I don't know the last time I can say I rode 2 days in a row. And I didn't know what to really talk about today, except for we can go over some maintenance items, some questions that people have asked me. I think the biggest one is we're going to start with we'll start with tires. I run a car tire, both on the front and on the rear. It's a Federal in the front and a Kumo in the rear. You can get the Kumo pretty cheap, and I get anywhere from 15 to 25,000 miles out of the back tire, depending on how hard I ride and how many burnouts I do, and all of that matters. In the rear, since I run a car tire, I run anywhere between 20 and 23 psi. It's to be honest with you, I never even check the rear car tire. I check it when I put it on and I forget about it, and I've never had an issue. In the front, I also run car tires, and they're the Federal, I forget which ones. They're not the directional tread. I put them on at 50,000 miles or 45,000 miles. I have 72,000 miles on the Spyder now, and they look incredible. I really like them. They ride good. A little face itch there. At first, when I put them on, I had a bad vibration, but what I found was it's corrosion in the left front wheel, and the corrosion is between where the hub of the wheel mounts to the hub or the bearing of the Spyder. So I just got to remove it every 10,000 miles, clean it up, throw it back on there, and they ride really good. I've never had an issue with traction. It's a really good combination. I run about 14 psi in the front. So now if you're running a factory tire, I think the front calls for about 14, but the rear calls for 28 or 30, so I would not drop that tire below what BRP recommends. The reason why I do is because I have a car tire, and the car tire is a ton stiffer, so I can lower the air pressure on it. And now, BRP says not to mount a car tire to your Spyder. I never really put thought into it, except for this thing is designed for the tires to roll a little bit, to give. It's part of the suspension, it's part of the brakes. So if you put a tire on there that's designed for a car and the sidewalls are a lot stiffer, it can affect the handling of the Spyder. And we've had that back in the day. When I first got into automotive shops, we had the big Firestone recall on the Ford Explorers. And let me go off on a little tangent really quick. And what happened with that is Ford made a vehicle that was maybe the wheelbase wasn't quite long enough, and it was a little top heavy, and it would roll over. So what Ford would do was Ford came out and said, okay, we're going to drop the air pressure in the front tires down to 26. And what that's going to do, instead of that tire running straight up and down, if that thing gets into like any type of lateral sideways movement, it's going to allow that tire to roll up and not dig and flip the vehicle. Well, what happened was Ford said run these tires at 26 psi. Firestone came out and said you can't run these tires at 26 psi because they build up too much heat and they will come apart. So tires are extremely important to how a vehicle handles, the safety, the brakes, the ride, everything. The first thing on a tire, air pressure, and how your suspension reacts to it. All you got to do is go out there and put 50 pounds in your tires on your Spyder and take it for a ride, and then drop them down, and you'll see the difference in just air pressure and tires make. But that's not the reason why BRP doesn't want car tires on their Spyders. Not the total reason. You know, yeah, sure, number one, there's a safety factor. Number two, the rims are designed different. A motorcycle rim and how the tire beads to it, especially in the bead area, is completely different than a car tire. So you can have a failure. You know, this is my third Spyder. I've run rear car tires on every single one, starting anywhere from 7,000 miles to 14,000 miles. Never had an issue. Are we doing some work on this road? This is going to be an awesome road once I get this thing done. But you know, that's me, and I'm willing to take that risk. And I put car tires on it. If I did not put car tires on this thing, I would be changing that rear tire, oh my goodness, every 2 months. I just do a lot of miles, and I can't afford to change a tire out that often. So, you know, that's why I went to a car tire, and that's why I'm going to continue to run a car tire. Is it 100% correct? Nope. Is it safe? I've never had an issue, knock on wood. You know, I don't want to put my life in danger, but you know, if I felt I wouldn't be doing it. You do your own research. And it's funny, I was behind a motorcycle, man, it had to be 3 weeks ago, and I was going to turn on the camera and record it, but the action camera is not going to pick it up. But the guy in front of me had a car tire on his two-wheeler, and it was really cool watching that motorcycle go through turns because that car tire stayed flat. So when he leaned that bike into a corner with that car tire staying perfectly flat, it would just pick up off the ground. It wouldn't ride on the shoulder of the tire. It simply would pick up that tire, and 3/4 of the tire would be off the ground. It was super cool to watch. You know, and a Spyder doesn't lean like a motorcycle, so you're not going to have that issue on a Spyder. But it was super cool to see just how a flat square tire reacts on a motorcycle that's designed to have a nice round tire. And then another thing, you know, and I have not done this yet, and I need to, because it's going to let me down. I know it is. This is a 2015 Can Am Spyder. I bought it in the summer of 2016. It was a year in leftover. Oh, that was a big bump. I still have the factory battery in it. If this thing sets for any periods of time, I've put a maintainer on it. More like a float, to where, you know, it brings it up to whatever, 12.5, 12.7, and it floats the battery at that. Being a 2015 and the amount of miles I have on it, I think that's why the battery's still good. Or, to be honest with you, I don't know if the battery's still good or not. I need to check it. So there's a couple ways of checking a battery. One is you can take a voltmeter, and you can simply put across the leads, and it can tell you the voltage of the battery, which will only tell you the state of charge. Car battery, a Spyder battery, motorcycle battery, unless you get one that's from the 50s or later. I don't know when motorcycles went to 12-volt cars way back in the day. 12.5 volts is a fully charged battery. And that's all it's going to tell you, is the state of charge of that battery. So anything under 12.5, that battery is not fully charged. When I started in the automotive world, we would actually load test a battery. So we would take how many cold cranking amps it was, divide it by 2, put a load on it for so many seconds, and we would watch the voltage. As the voltage dropped anywhere between 10 to 9.5 volts, you had a bad battery. Well, then, and I don't even know when they came out with a Midtronics, and all they did was said, here's this new battery tester. We're going to be testing batteries with this. You know, don't use the load test anymore. So Midtronics is pretty cool. And I just learned this recently when I became a district trainer for the company I worked with. How a Midtronics works is it will actually send a signal through the battery, and then it will do an analysis to that signal on the other side to see how it's degraded, to see how the plates are degraded, and then it will give you, you know, a state of health of that battery. So that's the only way to test a battery, to be honest with you. You know, to get a state of health of the battery, I think everybody's heard Sean Smoke talk about state of health. It's important because you can have a bad battery that starts your vehicle, but the load that it's then putting on your alternator, your charging system, your magneto, you know, whatever you have, this Spyder has a huge alternator. You're putting harm in that alternator, keeping that dead battery or dying battery charged up. And then of course, you know, once they've failed, then they leave you on the side of the road. You know, and you never just want to jump start and or just barely charge up any type of vehicle and have the alternator charge it up the rest of the way. An alternator is not designed, get up over that bump. An alternator is not designed to do that. An alternator is designed to, when you start your vehicle, you use a little bit of power from your battery, and it's designed to put it back in there and run your accessories. And it works in relationship with your battery as you're riding and driving down the road. So if you just jump start it and the battery's not fully charged, once again, you're putting a strain on that magneto and the alternator, and it's not good for it. So I need to, once all of this crap is over with and we can travel without any issues, I'm gonna remove this battery, take it down to our local parts store, and have them test this battery. You know, we're talking 2020 and this is a 2015, so you know we're 4 years with this battery. But you know, I try to ride as much as I can. I can definitely say here lately I have not been riding. I haven't even dialed in the shock yet. So I just put on the Elka Stage 2. I think that's how you pronounce it. I always get it confused with Elky rims, because back in the day, and I'm an old automotive guy, I get them very confused. I just put that shock on and I haven't even dialed it in yet. And out of the box, I'm pretty cool with it. It handles great 2-up. It's just a little stiff right now. But what I have noticed is I have to readjust my belt. So I think when I do that, I'm going to pull that front pulley off and take a real good hard look at that front pulley. Yeah, that's just one thing on this Spyder. It's that stupid front pulley. I just don't have faith in it. But all in all, I think this thing's held up really good, and I really enjoy riding my Spyder. And I wouldn't call this tech tips, but I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, definitely give me a thumbs up and stay safe. I'm gonna listen to some music. I'm gonna get my ride on because it is gorgeous and I need to get my ride on. So stay safe. I'll see you down the road.